Howdy everyone, Runt9 here, and welcome to Top 10 Nightwish Songs. I am really excited to be doing this video because this is a bonus video due to you guys out there giving so much support, absolutely crushing our view goal on Top 10 One Step from Eden Artifacts. And so, bonus non-gaming related video, I thought that I would put together a top 10 songs by my favorite band, has been my favorite band for 13 years. They're an absolutely fantastic musical group. I love their music so much. And so I thought that, I could definitely put together a top 10 until I started making the list and realized that it's darn near impossible. The top 2, super easy. The rest of the 8, incredibly difficult to choose. I got my Nightwish shirt on, or one of the 3 that I own, just to rep my favorite band. And without further ado, how about we dive in and let the debate continue, or let the debate begin about how wrong or right I am in your eyes. Again, these are all my own opinions, so it will probably clash with some of yours, especially as I titled this number 3, I expect to get a lot of heat for. But we're not talking about number 3, we're talking about number 10, Everdream. Track number 4 off of Century Child, which Century Child has slowly climbed up the ranks in my favorite Nightwish albums over the years. And I think I would possibly put it at number 3. We'll kind of see as we go through the rest of this what my number 1 and 2 might be. Everdream, along with basically the first 5 songs off of Century Child, are some of the most powerful and some of the best and coolest songs that Nightwish has ever written. I think that I like Everdream that much more than some of those other ones because of the last minute of that song. And if you guys haven't heard it before, definitely, for all of these songs, if you haven't heard them, make sure you go, find it on YouTube or whatever, Spotify, go listen to them. I mean, they're amazing songs. But the last minute where they step the key up, do a crescendo, get a little bit faster, and Tarja's power is just hitting super hard. It's just amazing, and especially with live performances, regardless of the singer, it is chills-inducing every single time. The only reason it's number 10 and not higher is because the rest of the song doesn't live up to that last minute. But that doesn't mean that it's not good. Again, it is in the top 10, and I think it's a fitting song to lead things off with. And then moving into number 9, it is one of my favorite songs off of the album Once, Dark Chest of Wonders. And what a great song to lead the album off with. First track, and the guitar tones, as soon as the intro happens, the guitar tones are right in your face. They're clear, they're gritty, and then Tarja steps into a slightly less operatic role than she had been over basically her entire career in Nightwish. And it sets the stage for not necessarily a more mainstream or poppy album, but more of a clear, more of a focus on everything instead of just Tarja's operatic vocals just taking over everything. And the chorus is catchy, the musical backing, the instrumentals is fantastic, and I think it is a wonderful leadoff song for Once. And the very first time I ever put Once on and listened to it, Dark Chest of Wonders was immediately captivating to me, and so it absolutely needed to go on this list. For number 8, we step right back to Century Child with End of All Hope. And again, I had a really hard time with the first 5 tracks off of Century Child. They're all really, really good. End of All Hope, the second song, I think is just, it is speed and power the whole way through. One of my favorite things about early Nightwish is Tuomas's just crazy, insane keyboard playing. It's so unique and different and fun and interesting. And End of All Hope, while combining some of the more modern Nightwish stuff that you see in Once, and really even in the Annette era, with more of the old school Oceanborn and Wishmaster craziness, and just blended that all together. And I mean, End of All Hope is just a beautiful song. And like I said, it's speed, the chugging guitars the whole time. And Tarja's vocals are powerful and forward the entire song. And I think that's why it kind of stepped above some of the other songs off the start of that album. Is there is no time to rest. There's no room to take a breather. End of All Hope is all power all the way through the entire 3 minutes and 54 seconds. Now, for number 7, let's just completely shift gears and talk about I Want My Tears Back off of Imaginarum, track number 5. This is a combination of Annette and Marco. And what can you say about Imaginarum in total? Like, if we were talking about, if we could take Imaginarum as one song, my brother joked about this as well. Imaginarum as one song would be number 1, period, because the experience is incredible. But even that said, and I don't think that there's a ton of super strong individual tracks on that album. I Want My Tears Back definitely is. There's a reason that it was, I think, the only song chosen to be on Decades from Imaginarum. And there's a reason for that. The catchy chorus, the wonderful blending of Annette and Marco's vocals, while also having that fun Celtic folk dance part at the end. And that's one that, like, if I'm in my car, if I'm, just sitting at my desk with my headphones on, it's impossible for me to not just move a little bit, try to dance a little bit. It is upbeat and fun and engaging, and it is definitely just so incredibly good, and a great showing by the band, considering that a lot of people were concerned what would happen to the band when Annette came in. And for a lot of people, I think Dark Passion Play was considered a little bit on the safe side. And Imaginarum was Tuomis's opus magnum. And I Want My Tears Back, in my opinion, shows that even though Imaginarum as an album is meant to be this whole entire experience and everything's supposed to flow together, this song can also stand out on its own as one of the best Nightwish songs of all time as well. And then jumping right back into the old school, how about Stargazers off of Oceanborn, track number 1, and what a track number 1 it is. And it's funny, there's a few track number 1s on this list, and I think Tuomis in general does a really good job most of the time of leading off albums strong. But when you jump from Angels Fall First to Oceanborn, which I think Angels Fall First had Elven Path, and I think Elven Path was number 1. I think Angels Fall First was a fun experiment and their chance to kind of get their feet wet. But to make the jump from that to Stargazers opening Oceanborn is a huge switch. And you want to talk about a momentum-driven song. Stargazers is momentum from the word go. It sets the tone for the album as well, because you follow it up with tracks like Gethsemane and the Devil in the Deep Dark Ocean and Passion in the Opera. And there's so much wonderful speed in this. And I think this is, I will not say that Nightwish ever came close to speed metal, obviously. But definitely, like, bridging that gap between symphonic and power metal, Stargazers is a wonderful gap bridger. I don't think that it is necessarily one genre or the other. And yes, when I first heard Oceanborn, back when I first got into Nightwish in 2007, I was like, man, this stuff is just like fast and you can't understand a word she's saying and all that. And the more I listen, the more I'm like, man, this is unlike anything I've ever heard before. And to this day, I have never heard another band, another song by any band come remotely close to the sound of Oceanborn as an album, specifically Stargazers, which just blows everything else out of the water as far as that era and really most symphonic metal music in general is concerned. It is just, like I said, it's speed and power from the word go. And once you get a little more used to listening to Tarja's earlier stuff, you can definitely understand her a lot better. And the lyrics in Stargazers is also just phenomenal as well. And then moving back to the album Once, which Once is considered by a lot of people to be Nightwish's best album. And it's bumped around a little bit for me. I think that it's brought down by a couple of the tracks like Creek Mary's Blood and whatnot. But when you talk about songs that have been in my top 5 since pretty much the first time I heard them, you gotta talk about Planet Hell. Because here's the thing with Once, is we kind of talked about this with Dark Chest of Wonders, is you started to hear a little bit of a shift in Nightwish's tone. They started taking away a little bit more of that crazy keyboard stuff that Tuomas was known for over Oceanborn, Wishmaster, and Century Child, and started getting, again, I don't want to say mainstream because it's far from it, but started getting a little bit more static, a little bit more focus on the orchestral pieces and a little bit less on Tuomas just being insane. Planet Hell was the exception to that rule on Once, and that's why I love it so much, is it blended the new style with the old style. You still have the crazy keyboard stuff. I think Marco's parts on Planet Hell are some of his best vocal work, period, in my opinion. Not necessarily number one. I mean, you got to talk about things like The Islander, Master Passion Greed, so on and so forth. But on Planet Hell, I think his vocals are near his top tier, while also Tarja's vocals being near top tier. And again, we talked about Century Child opening with 5 of the best tracks that I think Nightwish has put together. You got to say the same thing about Once. I mean, Planet Hell is number 4, but it comes after 3 other songs that are just incredible. But I do think that when I'm listening to Once, as much as I love the first 3 tracks, getting to Planet Hell is when you start getting close to the pinnacle of the album. Spoiler alert. And now for the song that shouldn't be much of a surprise to anyone. 10th Man Down, off of the Over the Hills and Far Away EP that Nightwish started putting together and unfortunately weren't able to follow through completely with. So they released Over the Hills and Far Away, a cover of an old folk song, and 10th Man Down, which to this day I can't believe isn't A, more widely known, and B, more widely appreciated. And that's why I just couldn't believe it and was so happy when they put it on Decades as their own recognition of, hey, 10th Man Down is legitimately one of the best songs we've ever made. And also being able to hear 10th Man Down live on the Decades tour was just incredible to me. Just the emotion, the evocation of what the song inspires in you. It's such a deep feeling that you get when you listen to it, or at least I do. But at the same time, the chorus, the wonderful double kick sound, and then you've got Tapio coming in with just this dark and gritty voice. I mean, just like he did on songs like Devil in the Deep Dark Ocean. But it's such a powerful combination with Tarja and Tapio on this. And I mean, it was very difficult for me not to put 10th Man Down higher, because for the longest time, probably for about 5 or 6 years, 10th Man Down was my favorite Nightwish song. But there's still 3 songs that right now, at the time of this list, have moved ahead of it and probably are not going to be beat. So why don't we move into a little bit of controversy? With number 3, Sahara. And I mean, if you didn't immediately close the tab upon seeing this is my number 3, I appreciate it. Thank you for sticking with me. I realize that a lot of people in general, especially old school Nightwish fans, do not like Dark Passion Play in general. But especially like Sahara is kind of buried towards the end of the album after what most people consider to be the stronger songs on the album. Sahara, when I first heard it, good song. I liked the Arabian throat singing influences and just the general musical style. But it just continued growing on me throughout the years as time went by. And the thing is, that opening riff, when you've got that descending tone into Impu's just deep, powerful, guttural riff, it is literally impossible for me to not headbang to it. I literally can't not. At the very least, there's going to be at least a little bit of head bobbing going on. And I'm just enraptured by Annette's vocals the whole way through. I think that, at least on Dark Passion Play, minus maybe one or two songs, I do think that it is probably one of her best vocal performances, period. And on top of that, it's just the tones and the backing instrumentals and the orchestral influences throughout all of Sahara is so wonderful. And just the quality of the track in general, the songwriting, the lyrics, it's just, and it's so different is the thing. Again, I know that it's not the only song that they've done sort of the Arabian throat singing style influences. I mean, you literally have a song on Imaginarum called Arabesque that doesn't have any vocals, but has a lot of those same influences. But Sahara stands out to me on Dark Passion Play, head and shoulders above everything else, except one other song. And I know that it is an unpopular opinion, and I hate to use this phrase because I know that this can spawn a lot of stuff, but I think that Sahara is easily the most underrated song in Nightwish's entire discography, and I would gladly stand by that position. Sahara has been number 3 for a while now. This top 3 was pretty much locked in, although I kind of had to go back and forth between Sahara and 10th Man Down a little bit. But how about we talk about the top 2? The top 2 on most people's top 10 Nightwish songs list, and the 2 that automatically were on the list before I even started putting it together. Now, I know more of you just clicked the X, but wait just a second. You probably still have the same top 2, just in a different order. Number 2, Ghost Love Score, widely considered to be the single greatest song that Nightwish has ever produced. And the fact that it's at track number 9 on Once, and you actually have to wade through a couple of songs that I think are fairly subpar for Nightwish in order to get there, is sad. Because overall, if you consider the first, 5 songs, 6 songs of Once, and then you kind of get, well, okay, Romanticide comes before Ghost Love Score as well, but it is just an absolute magical journey. It is the first epic song that they did that I think actually stood out as just amazing. And I realize that I might catch a little bit of flack for that as well. People saying that they love Beauty and the Beast and Dead Boy's Poem, and I get it. Don't get me wrong, those are great songs too. Ghost Love Score is unequivocally, in my opinion, the second best song they've ever made. And I think that especially now that Floor has been a part of the band, we jokingly call it Ghost Love Floor now because of what she adds to the song in live performances. And hearing it live 3 times now, and I hope that I get to hear it live more, hearing the professional live recordings of it, it's just absolutely chill-inducing every single time when you get to those last couple of minutes and she just belts like crazy. But even then, even with that said, I still don't think it would improve the ranking because of just how much I love my number 1. But let me be very, very clear. Ghost Love Score is the second best song I've ever heard, period. It's just that I love my number 1 more. So all of you out there who are like, Ghost Love Score better be number 1 on your list. It is Nightwish's best song. It is the best song ever made. I hear you and I get it. It's my second favorite song. But how about we talk about number 1? The Poet and the Pendulum. And I mean, just there are so many thoughts that I have about this song. We talked about in Sahara, where we were discussing Annette's vocals and how strong or weak they might be across the two albums that she did. And I do think that in general, the practice and the lessons that she did before Imaginarum really brought her vocals up to the next level. But I still think her work on The Poet and the Pendulum is easily her best vocal performance. I think that the atmosphere and the orchestra on The Poet and the Pendulum is easily the best of anything Nightwish has done. And the fact that that is the opening to Dark Passion Play, honestly, the only negative I can say about it is nothing else on Dark Passion Play comes remotely close to living up to what The Poet and the Pendulum does. Period. And that's saying something because Dark Passion Play is my favorite album by them. Again, I know also an unpopular opinion, but for me, the very first song I heard by Nightwish was Nemo, and I heard it on a Call of Duty 2 European server in the outro, and that's how I found them. Very first thing I did, I went and listened to their current album, which was Dark Passion Play. And I started listening to The Poet and the Pendulum, and I cried the first time. I had chills the entire time. I was moved, enraptured, engaged. I could not do anything except just sit there and focus on the music. It is beautiful. It is just, I cannot say enough good things about it. It has been my favorite song for probably a decade now. I may not have had it as my favorite song back in 2007 when I first heard it. I still had more, catchy style songs on, my top 5 list. But at this point, and for a very long time now, The Poet and the Pendulum is my favorite song. It's my favorite Nightwish song. I realize that some people are going to vehemently disagree and say that Ghost Love's Core goes first, but I feel you, and I would also say, there was a Reddit thing that happened, I guess it was probably a couple years ago now, where there was essentially a tournament bracket of Nightwish songs, and as it should have, it came down to Ghost Love's Core and Poet and the Pendulum, and Ghost Love's Core won. But the thing is, a lot of people have those two songs 1 and 2, and the order is just completely dependent on the person. For me, Poet and the Pendulum goes number 1, and it's just an absolutely magical journey. It is 14 minutes of pure bliss, and legitimately, I cannot fathom a world that I will hear something by Nightwish or any other band in existence that I like more than this track. And that's why it had to be my number 1. And like I said, number 1 and 2 were the easiest part of this list by miles. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's my top 10 Nightwish songs. And one of the things that I love about Nightwish in general is that there isn't an unequivocally factual, these are their best songs, because over the nearly 25 years that they've been making music, there's so many wonderful pieces of art that everyone out there has their own top 10. And that's one of my favorite parts about the band is there's so many wonderful songs. Like I said, I had such a hard time putting together the back 8 of this, especially once we got past 10th Man Down. The back 6 were definitely the hardest. And I love this band. I knew when I first started the top 10 series that this was going to be a video I did, and I'm glad that I added it in as a bonus. We'll probably keep most of the top 10s gaming focused, but this should give you an idea of what to expect from the non-gaming focused top 10s. I cannot say enough good things about this band, and just to reiterate certain points, I realize that there's not a single song on here with Floor in it, which is crazy considering that Floor is my favorite vocalist from Nightwish. I would say that if Greatest Show on Earth did not have the speaking part at the end, it would be number 3. Because the rest of that song is definitely number 3 behind Ghost Love's Core and Poet and the Pendulum. And I think that it is Floor's current best vocal performance on a studio album. Now, Ghost Love's Core live is definitely still her best, but I do love Endless Forms Most Beautiful and Human Nature. but in comparison to the rest of their discography, I still would put it just above Angels Fall First and below everything else, just purely because I think everything else is better, even though I do love Floor more as a vocalist. And I also actually really like Kai as a drummer. I wouldn't necessarily say he's better than Juka, but I do really love his drumming performances. And so I love the band. I can't wait to see them again live. I will see them every chance that I get. And hopefully everyone out there, all of you fans of Nightwish, are joining me in enjoying the music that they produce, whether it's old or new. And I hope you enjoyed this top 10. Absolutely let me know your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to this channel to see more content like this, and check out some of my gaming stuff. I know a lot of you are coming to this video not knowing that I do gaming stuff on this channel. I play a lot of indie games, turn-based games, roguelike, stuff like that. Make sure you go check those out as well, and subscribe to the channel so you can follow some of that content as well. But the single best thing you can help the channel, or the single best thing you can do to help out the channel, would be clicking the like button. That sends a message to YouTube that says, hey, I liked this video and I think other people would like it as well, and that helps spread the word and lets other people find this video as well. So if you enjoyed the video, the one thing you can do that helps the most is clicking the like button. In addition, if you're interested in some of my gaming stuff, I do stream over on twitch.tv/rut9plays 5 days a week, Wednesday through Sunday, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Would love to have you come hang out on the streams. And if you want to come chat with me directly, you can either find me at Rut9Plays on Twitter or come join the community Discord at discord.rut9plays.com. But other than that, I just want to say yet again, thank you very much to everyone out there for the wonderful support. It's been a great week. It's been some great videos here on YouTube, some great streams over on Twitch. I just can't say thank you all enough from the bottom of my heart. Thank you all very much for watching. And until the next one, I'm Rut9, and I'll see you later.